Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining. My name is Johnny Freeman. I'm Pozotron's Senior Customer Support Manager. So if you've used Pozotron before and ever put in a support ticket, we've likely met, at least virtually. And today we're going to be doing a back to basics webinar. And what that means is I'll be covering the essential features and techniques to use Pozotron to enhance your workflow when creating any kind of scripted audio production. We can help you produce it faster, make it easier, remove some of the tedious and maybe boring parts of production, and hopefully help you complete projects in less time. So that's the whole idea. And this is a live webinar, so if you do have any questions as we go through this, feel free to drop them in. The chat will work, but the Q&A box is easier for me to manage. It'll notify that a question is waiting to be answered, and we answer them right as they come up, right in the middle of the workflow, so no need to wait till the end or anything. And usually one question from one person ends up helping everybody. So don't be shy. Please ask any questions that you have. With that, the agenda for today, I'll be walking you through the whole process, start to finish, of using Pozotron on a project. That's going to start with creating a project and fiddling with the project settings. Then immediately we'll get into the script preparation tools, which are going to help you research pronunciations, research characters that you'll be performing, and hopefully help you prevent pickups before you even begin recording. Then we'll cover our proofing tool and the exports that'll help you find and fix your pickups easily. Lastly, the final check in a project is the audio analysis tool to make sure it's ready, your files are ready to be shipped off to ACX or a publisher or anything like that. We'll end off with a couple of best practices, and there probably will be time at the end for questions. But like I said, if you have questions as we go through this, don't hesitate to ask them, and we'll answer them right away. Okay, moving right into it. So to use Pozotron, to use any of our tools, you'll have to create a project. And really what this step is a place for you to upload the manuscript. Pozotron's tools rely on the script. So first thing you'll do is you'll upload it. That can be a PDF, EPUB, or Word document, or a text document, actually. So any format that you have, it should work. I'll actually open up Pozotron now and walk you through the steps. So this is Pozotron, if you've never seen it. Just a website. So once you get logged in, you will be, I'm just zooming in a little bit here. You'll be brought here to the My Projects page. And to create a project, you'll hit this Create New Project button right here. As I said, this is where you upload your script. You'll give it a title first, and then you can upload the script here. Just drag and drop it into this box or click it to browse. And if you're new to Pozotron, I would probably just leave the rest of these settings alone. They're not necessary to get started, but they can help once you've used us for a little while and you see how Pozotron reacts to your voice and your scripts. You can change things like the sensitivity in this creation window here. So if you want Pozotron to relax and stop flagging so many things, or if you want it to be even more sensitive than it already is, you do have control over these settings here. There's a bunch of options, but they're all optional. If you're just getting started, I would just recommend uploading the script here and getting started. That will create, once you hit create project, that will create a thumbnail down here, and this is a project. And just to make sure I didn't forget anything important, yeah, that is fine. We'll just move on to the juicy part, which is actually using the tools. It looks like we already have a question from Hopper. I'm doing a project now which has a few foreign accents in it. Is there a sensitivity setting for that? That is a good question. There isn't a dialect sensitivity. So if your character is Scottish or Irish or something like that, you don't need to tell Pozotron beforehand. Just upload the audio. There is a potential that you'll get some false positives there if on uncertain words. So like in an Irish accent, if you're saying the word 30. Okay, Swedish and German. Yeah, so there might be, I'll actually show you an example in this project. We have an example with someone using a British accent and the kinds of things Positron might flag. So there's a couple of things you can do when you're proofing that I'll show you once we get to the proofing section, which should answer your question on what to do with those dialects. And I will leave your question up so that I can be reminded to get to it later. Okay, this is a project. So as soon as you come into a project, there's a whole bunch of things going on in this screen. But the main thing is on the left-hand side here, you'll see all of our different production tools. And this window was just released this week. So if you used us before, it might look a little bit different. So all of the tools are now listed here. Excuse me. I'm going to start with the pronunciation guide. So our prep tools are these two tools right here, the pronunciation and character guide options. So to use any of the tools, just click on it on the left-hand side. Once you're in the tool you want to use, I'd recommend just clicking this little side arrow to give you more space in the main screen. But the pronunciation guide is a really powerful tool. This is designed to be used before you've even started recording, when you're just prepping for your project. What this tool will do is scan every single word that's in your script, and it'll put together a list for you of all of the capitalized rare words. So that'll be unique proper nouns like names of people or cities, or if you're doing a sci-fi book, a alien race or planet. So it's going to catch all those words. And I'll hit open suggestions here so you can see this list of words. It'll also get regular complex words. So any words that are just deemed to be complicated by our algorithm, which we had narrators go through a list of 150,000 words and rate them simple or complex. We also look at the actual letters, the individual letters that make up a word, and based off of certain combinations, we'll deem it as complex and put it on the list for you. Also, foreign words, so any words not in the primary language of your book will get flagged and put onto this list. It looks like I have a question from Suzanne. When you uploaded the text/Word file, did you also upload the audio at the same time? And when you upload the doc, is it just one file, but the audio can be separate chapters, correct? Yes. So in this case, in this example project, I've already uploaded audio, but this section will be blank when you first create your project. You're just uploading the script in this create new project window. So you're only uploading the script, and you do want to upload the entire script in one file. So don't split it up into chapters or sections. Just upload the whole thing. Then when you have a project and you upload the audio, Positron will automatically determine what audio this or what section this audio applies to. So if you upload your audio file for chapter 1, you don't need to tell it's chapter 1. Positron will just figure it out for you and match it to the correct spot. So yes, Suzanne, you are correct. And thank you for the question. So back to the research list. I'm going to zoom out a little bit. This is where you can find this list of words. These are the suggested words that Positron's given you. And the list is great, but the most useful thing about the pronunciation guide is that we are integrated with these online dictionaries. The normal process, if you come across a word that you don't know how to pronounce, you might go to Google, you'd have to search online for it. So Positron will grab those words, put it into a list, and then I have Merriam-Webster selected here. If I add a word to my research list, it's going to automatically search our online dictionaries for a pronunciation. So you'll see it automatically populated the phonetic spelling and recording for this word.
Abortive.
And I hope the audio is coming through, but you should hear a pronunciation here. Also grabs the phonetic spelling straight from Merriam-Webster. So it can really speed up your research. You can simply add words that you want to store the pronunciation for, You can ignore words you already know, and you can quickly develop a pronunciation list here. You can see how fast that is. So really helpful. Some words are unique proper nouns. I'm going to just get rid of this. That's a little sneak peek into what's coming. But this word chairing, for example, if I check the pronunciations, what it finds in Merriam-Webster is not correct.
Char.
So that's something we would have to research ourselves. Or if I add a word up here, you can add any word you want to the list. I'm going to add a name that I know is in this book. And you'll see sometimes these words are going to come back blank. Now, this means that Pozotron didn't find it in your selected dictionary, but what I would recommend whenever you see a word that has no phonetics here is to use this cloud button on the right-hand side. This is going to show you everything that Pozotron found online, including multiple sources from Forvo. And you'll see Forvo actually gives you different dialects here. So this is English, Spanish, French, Portuguese. And I can listen to the different dialects here.
Dino.
Dina,
Dina,
And depending on what I need, I can press this plus button to add it to my research list. Now I have that play button right here. And I can also enter a phonetic spelling. I'll do something like that. So now I have this word saved to my project. Now some words like chairing, if I press this cloud button here,
Shireen.
it didn't really find what I was looking for. The last place to look for a pronunciation in this case, if it doesn't pull anything automatically, is to use these links on the right-hand side. These are integrated with Pozotron, but it won't automatically pull the pronunciation in. So if I wanted to check this word in Youglish, I'll click that. This is going to open up. Youglish is a great website, not connected to Pozotron at all, but it's a really useful pronunciation source. It's going to search a YouTube, search all the YouTube transcripts for this word, and then bring you straight to the point in a video where someone's saying it. So I can press play.
The Charing Cross Bridge.
So that was pretty good.
Must have got the wrong train into Charing Cross.
Great. So there I heard the pronunciation of chairing. And what I can do is come back to my guide here and press this microphone button and actually either upload a MP3 or record a pronunciation straight into Pozotron. Chairing, chairing. And I can put in my own little phonetic spelling here. I could also link to Youglish, so I have this source saved. And now I've saved that to my project. So really easy we're trying to make the process of finding pronunciations and storing them as easy as possible. We're believers of the one single source of truth workflow where you have all of your pronunciations, all of your audio, all of your characters in one place just to keep your projects organized. So any questions on that, please feel free to drop them in. I just want to make sure I'm not forgetting anything. Yeah, a couple other things that are important to know about the pronunciation guide is we've made it really easy to collaborate. So a lot of times you'll work directly with the author on pronunciations, especially if it's a fantasy book or there's made up words that only the author knows the pronunciation of. If you get a list of pronunciations from your author, you can import their list directly into Pozotron. So you can import the list here, and then you can also import the audio files. So you can import phonetic audio recordings. So if you get a bunch of MP3s from them, just drop the MP3s in here. Make sure the files are named if the word is Johnny, johnny.mp3, and Pozotron will automatically store them in your project. Or if you didn't get a list, which is probably more common, and you pull the words that you're going to need help with onto your list here. So a couple things you can do. Let me actually find some other words here, maybe Grimpin and Lancet, words that maybe won't have a pronunciation automatically found. Let's grab Mortimer's. Okay. And I'm going to filter this list to only show me words that do not have pronunciations here, so only incomplete. So let's say Grimpin and Mortimer's, I need the author's input or somebody else's input. The first thing I would do is come down here to this button on the left-hand side. This allows you to share the project with anyone you'd like. So I can press share. You'll see I've already invited Adam at Pozotron to be a researcher. Let's say author at author.com. And I'm going to add them as the author. So now they are a part of the project. They would get an email saying, "Hey, you've been invited to Positron." They can come and access your project completely free. They will need to create an account just so your data is secure, but they can come in here without, completely free. And we can also assign these words to the author. So I can assign this word to the author, assign this one as well, or you could do multiple by selecting which ones you want to assign and then assign them over here. Excuse me. But what's great about this is they can come and actually record straight into Positron. And if you send them this URL right here, or if we actually go to assign to me, this URL, we copy that and send it to them, they'll be brought straight to this page here. They won't see all the other words, and it'll just be a focused list for them. So all they need to do is click the microphone button and record straight into Positron for you. So we try to make collaborating as easy as possible as well. And I'm just going to take a quick coffee break. Before we move on to the character guide. So this is the other prep tool. And while it works similarly to the pronunciation guide, however, this tool is focused on locating the different characters that you might have to research and perform in your project. So if I open my suggestions list, you'll see here there are a bunch of names, and these are characters from the book here. So I can actually take a look at Sherlock here. To get more information on a character, I can click this count button. And this is going to show me every single occurrence of Sherlock throughout the entire book. So this allows you to get a snapshot, read where they're being brought up, see if any descriptions are listed in here. And if you need to develop a voice for this character, I'm going to add them to my character guide. And the idea of this tool, actually pause, looks like we have a question from Georgia. I've had an author I narrated for send me one MP3 file with all the pronunciations for their made up words. Would they need to send individual MP3s for each word? That is a good question. And I do believe that wouldn't be able to be imported automatically. Yes. So yeah, unfortunately, since it's one audio file, we wouldn't be able to automatically cut it up and place it in each word here for you. But I'll have a think about that. Yeah, I think probably if you were to use Positron, it'd be recommended to either get the MP3s in separate files or have them record straight into these words here. Also, then you're telling them what words you need. But that is a good question, and I'm going to bring that to our dev team because that should be, yeah, I believe there is some development magic that could make that a lot easier for you. So thank you for the suggestion and the question. That's a very interesting use case. And then Hopper says, or if there's space between the words, you could just split the one MP3 into multiples. Exactly, yeah. And there may be an automatic way to do that, but at the very least, if you split them up wherever there's silence, then they would be single files and you could import them into Positron. Great question. Thank you. So back to the character guide. I've added Sherlock here. You can see the main point of this tool is to be a repository of all of the information you'd need about a character to perform them and then also remember how to perform them. So for Sherlock here, I'm going to add a description in this window. So he is a brilliant detective who is rude, and that's probably enough. The character voice notes are what he's supposed to sound like. So I could say he has a deep baritone, speaks quickly, and has a London accent. So this is saved to the project now. We also have the pronunciation of their name recorded here.
Sherlock.
So it'll automatically populate that for you. And it also gives you a place to record as many voice samples as you would like. So I can open up this window here and either upload an MP3 of a recording I have or of whatever I'm using for inspiration for this character, or I can record straight into Pozotron. Hello, Watson, blah, blah, blah. And do not judge me, I am not an actor. So there's my Sherlock. I could add more voice samples as well if I'd like. And now I have Sherlock saved to my project. So this is a way to keep your different characters organized. And what's really useful about this in particular is a feature called transfer research. So this is useful if you're working on a series of audiobooks where if you, let's say this was book one, I get all of my pronunciations figured out. I have recordings. I get all my characters noted down in here with their descriptions and their recordings. I can then grab all of this info and move it to the second book in the series. So using this transfer research button, you can select any other project that you have in your account and it will grab it and pull it into the new project. And then it'll only show you the words and characters that reappear in the second project. So you're just getting a relevant list of characters and pronunciations that you're going to have to perform again. And if you're doing a Game of Thrones kind of thing with 40 different characters and voices, this is a very easy way to keep track of them all. One other thing with the character voices guide, the suggestions list will show you the characters, but you'll notice that some of them will have this AI tag. And what this means is Positron has, when it scanned your book, has also identified descriptions of the character. So it's not only looking for character names, it's also looking for cues. And this is a beta feature, but it does have this, it will find this on some of your projects. So if I add Gatsby, and you can also filter this to see only the ones with this AI tag over on the right-hand side. So this is just going to show me all the ones with descriptions that Positron has pulled out of the book and automatically put them into the character description here. So we'll see it figured out that Gatsby is a male and that he speaks in an urgent, matter of fact, or distant way. So it's actually grabbing that from the occurrences of Gatsby. It's taking a look at this and seeing if there are any descriptions that it can help you with. So it just gives you a starting place for your research on a character. Excuse me, I have a tickle in my throat. Good, and I'm just trying to think if there's anything I forgot with these prep tools. If you do have any questions, feel free to drop them in. But if not, I'll just continue. So there's a couple of sharing or a couple of exports that are really helpful with the prep tools. And I'll show you the export marked script button first. So this is a great way to integrate all the research that you have done in Positron and actually embed it into your script. So by hitting this export mark script button, that's going to download a copy of my PDF. And I'm just going to open this up in Adobe so that it actually shows you all the comments it's going to put in there. Oh, actually, maybe Adobe doesn't want me to do that. So I'll show you in here. In Google Chrome, it's a little funny, but in every other PDF reader, It'll have its own way of presenting this. But you'll see here, there's actually been highlights for anybody that's been on my character guide. We see Sherlock and Gatsby are highlighted. And if I hover over their name, I'll actually see the voice notes that I put in there, the character descriptions, and I'll also have links to the pronunciation of their name and any voice sample here. Google Chrome cuts off the box here, which is why I wanted to show you in another format. But any format that you open this up or any software you use will have these comments in there. And also, if we find any word on our pronunciation guide, these will be highlighted in yellow. You'll see it'll include the link to the recording as well as the phonetic spelling. So let me find Dinah as well. Hovering Dinah, I'll see the phonetic spelling there. So it's a really easy way to, if you do mark up your script, get a head start on that and make sure that the info that you put into Pozotron is always accessible, even in just your PDF. Yeah, so there's a couple other things here. This online packet, if you don't want to invite your author or invite someone to your project where they can actually edit things and change things, you can always share an online packet with them. This they do not need an account to access, but it has all the same information. So this will give you a link. So I copy that and I go to a new window. This is going to show you the characters here. It'll have the voice notes, the pronunciations as well. And you can do this for your character guide as well as the pronunciation guide. They both have an online packet option here. Again, it'll have the same info as your project, but this does not require them to make an account. So they can hear your pronunciations and approve or deny them here. So another way that you can collaborate. Okay, I believe that is all you need to know. Maybe a little too much information if you're just getting started, but those are the basic features of our script prep tools. So once you've done all of that, you've done all your prep, then you would actually go and record outside of Pozotron. And when you're done with either a chapter or the whole book, that's when you would upload it to the proofing tool here. So these are my different audio files. And what Positron's doing when you upload your audio files is it's actually going to take a really accurate transcript of everything you said and then compare it to your manuscript. And any deviation, any repeated word, any missed word or mispronunciation, it's going to make an annotation for. And it's going to flag them for you in the chapter. We can see on each of these chapters, it shows me a number. And this is the amount of potential mistakes that Positron detected. So to look at those in detail, click the Open Proofing button here. And this is going to show you, this is the proofing interface. Here you'll see your script. So this is a replica of the manuscript you uploaded. However, it's been synchronized to your audio. So instead of scrolling around with the time bar to listen back, you can actually just click anywhere in the script. You'll see my cursor is right here now, and if I press play, it'll start from that point. So I can press play up here, or I can use spacebar on my keyboard.
Our audio proofing tool is designed to catch the key mistakes your narrator may make during narration, including words accidentally added into the script by the narrator.
I use spacebar to pause it. So it's really easy to follow along. It'll highlight each word as it's said. And then these red underlines, like spell check, are where Positron has detected potential error. Now, Positron doesn't tell you what is a pickup or what isn't. It just flags these deviations and lists them for you on the left-hand side here. So you'll see there's a list of every annotation. And on these, there are feedback buttons. So here, when I listen to this,
words accidentally added into the script by the narrator.
We can see that the narrator did insert the word accidentally. So that wasn't written in the script, but he said it. So if this is something that I want to fix, I would click pickup here. So this means it's a major error and it needs to be fixed. If this is a small minor error that can be ignored, I would click OK. That just ignores it. Or if it's a typo in the script, I can actually mark it as a typo. But for this, I'm going to mark it as a pickup. And looks like we do have a question. From Hopper, I tend to use either Chrome or Firefox on a Mac when I use Pozotron. What happens a lot is that when the site is analyzing my file, it hangs somewhere around phase 6 for a really long time. I have to refresh the browser and then all of a sudden I can open proofing. Any idea why this is? So that is a little uncommon, but that is a bug that we're aware of with certain browsers. So sometimes it'll stay step 6 out of 8. I would recommend if you ever see step 6 out of 8 to go ahead and refresh it, but our developers are aware of that. And I believe there's a browser setting that we can do to help you out with that. So I'll follow up with you afterwards, Hopper, and I'll make the devs aware that's happening. But yeah, that can happen. Usually step 6 out of 8 is where I've heard that the issue yeah, it'll just stay there, and then if you refresh, it's good. But if a file ever is stuck, or you think it should only take around 5 to 10 minutes for most files. If you're uploading like a 2 hour file, maybe it'll take a little bit longer. But if you notice it's stuck, let us know. So let me actually go back to our project here. So this status bar, it'll tell you what step of processing it's at. If it's been at one step for a really long time or longer than usual, go ahead and hit this help button and request support. This will come straight to me and the rest of the team, and we can give your files a little push. If sometimes if there's a ton of traffic all at once, a file might stay in processing for a while, but we can help fix that for you. So if it's taking too long and you're on a deadline, just let us know. We'll help you get it in there as fast as possible. Thanks for your questions, Hopper. All right. Now, where was I? One more question from Hopper. Does it matter if I upload a WAV versus an MP3 file? That's actually a great question. I probably should have talked about that. So you can upload an MP3, FLAC, or WAV to Pozotron. There is no difference in cost or performance or anything like that. I will say MP3s tend to process a bit faster because the file size is generally smaller. So MP3s probably go fast. The only limitation is it can't be longer than 2 hours in one audio file. So if you have a really long chapter, you'll want to split it up into maximum 2 hour sections. But in terms of how it works in Positron, it doesn't matter what format you use. Alrighty, great. Yes, so we were going through this. So any of these red underlines is where Positron's detected something that might not be correct. So let's take a look at this. It caught the word inserted accidentally here. Let's take a look at this one.
Words missed from the script. Of course, it will find.
So it'll also flag any missing words. So any words that are not narrated, Positron will say, hey, you didn't say these words, and it'll flag them as missing.
Of course, it will find misperceptions and misspoken words.
So fairly obvious mispronunciation there, or mainly a misread, because he did say the wrong word. So we'll flag pronunciations. And Hopper, to go back to your original question on foreign accents, or really with pronunciations, keep an eye on these because certain words, like made up words or maybe an accented word, Positron's expecting a normal pronunciation. And if the word is made up or Positron doesn't know the correct pronunciation, it may flag it every single time it comes up as, hey, you said this word wrong. But really, you're pronouncing the name of an alien and it doesn't know what the pronunciation is. That's what this filter out button is for. So every time Positron hears this word and thinks it's incorrect, if I press filter out, that will ignore it throughout the entire project, which will prevent you from having to press OK on the same thing, especially if it's a main character's name or something, the same thing repeating throughout the whole book. You just use that filter out button here. And I'll show you an example in the next chapter, Hopper, on an accented pronunciation there. So those are the kinds of misreads it'll catch. It'll also flag any pause longer than 2 seconds.
Pauses longer than 2 seconds. Noises, including audio distortion.
There's a little clipping right here as well. But the pause here, it'll tell you the length of the pause, and you're able to press OK or mark it as a long pause, which is essentially a pickup. Or you can filter this out as well. Let's say 2.4 seconds is an acceptable pause length for my project, and I don't want Pozotron to flag me about those, but anything longer, I would like it to flag. You can use the filter out button, and it'll ask if you'd like to automatically filter out other pauses shorter than this one. So that basically makes 2.4 the new threshold for whatever Pozotron will flag. So I'll do that. Then clipping here, this is our noise detection algorithm. It'll detect clipping like this.
Including audio distortions.
So a little clipping. It'll also get background noises. Warning if you have a dog nearby and this is on a speaker, there's a dog barking about to play.
Dog barking.
So here it'll catch that. The noise detection is a completely separate algorithm than our proofing algorithm, and it has its own thresholds for detecting these, but it still has the filter out same options here. But this is something that you can change when you're creating a project. If you want the proofing sensitivity to be relaxed and the noise detection to be extra sensitive, you can actually influence these algorithms separately, or you can turn it off if you don't care about noise detection. But let's go back in here. So I've gone through, I've been marking these as pickup or okay. And the idea is you would go through, listening through and telling Pozotron what you want to fix and what you don't. You can also make your own pickups. So as you go through this, if you listen to this section and although you said all the words correctly in the right order, if there's some reason why you want to redo it for tone or for pacing or something like that, you can create your own pickups just by clicking and highlighting and pressing this speech bubble button right here. That will create a window for you to mark a pickup. So I can say add more emotion or whatever I wanted to fix here, and that'll make its own pickup. Let's see here. Yep, that's pretty much the whole process. And there's two ways people tend to use us. And I'm just going to mark the rest of these so that it looks like it's done. The next step, I'll show you how to actually correct these mistakes. So we have our list of pickups here, but we still need to actually correct them. But first, I'll show you two different methods of proofing in Pozotron. So the first is to go through, starting from the beginning, listening through to everything. You can make your own notes on things that you'd like to fix, paying special attention to these red underlines. Or there is a speed mode or spot check method. So it really depends on you and what you would like to do in your workflow. But this method can definitely save you a lot of time. And also, Hopper, finally answering a question of yours. So this is an accented narrator. So let's just play this and listen.
Give him this mark of their appreciation.
So we can see here this was marked as a mistake, but that's the kind of thing, small things like that might show up with accented narration compared to standard North American dialects. So on this, for example, I don't want to be notified every time the word there is said. So this is something I would use the filter out button on. And that might happen for your Swedish and German characters as well in their lines of dialogue. But hopefully that answers your question. Filter out button is your best friend in that situation. But I'm going to show you a couple of tricks here. So let's say I'm just starting to proof this chapter. I will show you a couple of hotkeys. Now there's a lot of things you can do with shortcuts on your keyboard. You don't need to remember all of these. You only need to pay attention to these two at the top. So A on your keyboard will mark something as okay. D will mark something as a pickup. And spacebar will play and pause the audio. So there's just three hotkeys there, and you can always be reminded of what they are with this command symbol here. And I'll show you the hotkeys. But what this allows me to do is if I click the top annotation on the list here, you'll see it's got this yellow border and it's been selected. If I press A to mark it as okay, you see it marked it as okay and it instantly selected the next one in the list. So if I hit the spacebar to listen to the audio,
Since those who know him give him this mark of their appreciation.
press spacebar to pause it, can see that's okay, or I could filter out actually. So the hotkey for that is F. So F to filter out. You'll see it'll then go all the way to the next annotation automatically. So I can just press play to listen to the next one.
Service of the hospital in order to start a practice for himself.
So he said A instead of in. I'll press D to mark it as a pickup. And again, it instantly jumps to the next one. And you don't have to pause it between each one either. So for the next few, I'm just going to let it roll and mark them with A and D as I listen to them.
Incredulously, as Sherlock Holmes leaned back into his settee and
So
small
that's a
medical
pickup.
shelf, I took down the medical dictionary and turned up the name.
That's
There
a
were
pickup.
several, agile and restless as the antennae of an insect.
That's
Always
okay.
appeals strongly. Then had you better not consult him?
That's a
Demand
pickup.
my assistance.
And that's okay. So there's the speed mode or spot checking method. When you get familiar with those hotkeys, you can, that was a 12-minute audio file that I got through in maybe 30 seconds. If you just want to check what Pozotron has recommended here. So those are the two methods of proofing in Pozotron. Really depends on you and your workflow, but either one. At the end of a chapter, you'll see everything's been checked, and we have a certain amount of pickups that we need to fix. So that's it for the proofing tool. Now I'll show you a couple of useful reports and exports that'll help you find and actually correct these pickups, because we haven't done anything besides mark them now. So what I'll do, the first thing I'll show you is really helpful. It is our DAW marker export. So I just clicked on this one chapter here. Actually, I'll go up here, import export button. You'll see all of these different options for different reports that you can get. The two I'm going to show you today, or three, are the DAW marker export, the pickup packet, and the proofing report. I'll show you the DAW markers first. So this allows you to export a file that you're going to import into your DAW. And, oh, I actually don't have my account. We actually have a lot of DAWs, so let me pull up our support article because my webinar account isn't showing me that for some reason. Go to our help center. By the way, if you ever have a question, you can access our help center right here. Also tutorials, our help center, these are videos, and these are articles. So I'm going to our articles right here. And I believe we have even more than this now, but we have pretty much every mainstream or requested DAW. So as narrators have used Positron, they've said, hey, do you have a Twisted Wave? Do you have whatever? So we've been adding them. We have pretty much all the main ones here that you can choose from. I'm only seeing Audacity because that is the only free one. If you're on an actual subscription of Positrons, you will see the rest of them listed down here. But Audacity is what I'm going to show you in today, so that works out for me. And if I hit export, you'll see it's going to download a zip file with a marker file for each of my chapters here. So we can see it's named after each one. So this is if I have my audio files set up in different sessions. If you have your audio files all in one long session, you got chapter 1 through to the end in one session, you'll want to make sure you change the timestamp setting here to be start of the book instead of start of each chapter. But if you have each chapter in its own session, make sure you use this one here. So with that file, I'm going to open up Audacity. First, I'm going to extract these. Very good. And just opening up Audacity here. And we'll pull that over. And I'm just going to download the audio here. You probably won't need to do this because you'll have the audio already. But I am going to download it and drag it into Audacity. Perfect. So now I've got the actual audio here. And what I can do to find my pickups is go File, Import Labels. And I'm going to go into that folder. And I'm going to select, oh, this is Sherlock Holmes, so I'm going to select Sherlock Holmes. And you'll see it imports a file to show me exactly where these pickups are. And I actually have the marker range option selected, so it's showing me the beginning and the end of a pickup here. So I can see these are the sections I need to re-record. So instead of hunting around with timestamps, I can just see at a glance, okay, I need to redo this section right here. This is a big time saver. That's one of the most powerful features. And if you do use a different system than Audacity, we have tutorials on how to import it into all of our available DAWs. So if you have any questions on that, let us know. All right, well, I took a lot of time on that, so it looks like we're running up to the end of the hour in 10 minutes. So I'll go through the next, but if you have time, hang on, or otherwise we'll send out the recording if you have questions on the other options. The DAW markers I showed you, so another very useful export is the pickup packet. Let's say these are our most commonly exported things, the DAW marker and the pickup packet, because the DAW marker export showed us where these corrections need to be made, but the pickup packet is going to actually give us, let me just go down to Sherlock here, the Sherlock Holmes chapter. We have both of these open side by side. We'll see this is the first correction, and this is the actual text that I need to reread. So I have everything I need here. I can reread this sentence, and I know exactly where it goes in my audio file. Go down to the next one. You can see that goes right here. So this combo is probably the most common thing to actually do your pickups and resolve them. So going through that, you go through each one, fix your pickups, and when you come back to your project, it's going to open this up more. It's really easy to keep track of what you've done as well, because you can actually click right here on this 0 out of 4 pickups, and I'm just going to mark them all as fixed. So now when I come to my project, I know I've checked this, and I know I've actually done the work in my session and corrected the pickups as well to keep yourself organized. So very helpful export. The other options here are the proofing report, which will be a little more standard or old school of a report. This is just an Excel sheet, and it still will have all the information you need here. It's got the chapters, it's got the options here. When I marked all my Sherlock ones as fixed, so it's not going to show them on the report, but this will show me the pickups here, the notes, and then the context as well. So the actual text that you'll need to reread. This will also have a typo report. So if there are any typos that you marked while proofing, you can have a separate typo report as well. Just an added bonus for some projects. Okay, let's move on through with the last step. So after you've gone through, you've created your project, you've done your prep, you've then done your proofing, you've corrected your pickups. Now at this point, you would master your audio files. And when you're done with that, you can use our audio analysis tool to make sure your files pass the specification requirements for whatever distributor you're using. And in plain language, this just lets you check your audio files and see if they're up to par with ACX or Spotify. You can also add a preset and create your own requirements. If you have a particular client that has their own requirements here, you can put them in here and upload your mastered files. So not the same ones you used in proofing. So usually these are raw, and then you'd want to go to master them and upload the audio files here. Once it's processed, you can click Show Analysis, and this is going to tell you if your files are up to par, and I have ACX selected. So are these ready for uploading to ACX? Apparently not. And I can click this drop down on each file to see what the problem is. You can see it's checking file duration, sample rate, sample peak, RMS, the noise floor, top and tail duration, the file format, pretty much anything you want to check. It'll give you the actual value of what it read and then the expected range as well. So we can see here, okay, so that's what the expected range is, and here's the actual value. We don't actually correct your audio files, but it is a nice way to just check right at the end of a project. Question from Hopper, does the audio check feature incur a separate PFH charge? Great question. This does not count towards your build usage. This is a completely free tool as of now. It's still in beta, but it's been this way. So it's completely free. Go ahead and upload all your mastered files. and you can check. Yeah, totally free. Thanks for your question, Hopper. Good. I think that we actually did pretty good on time because that is the last step. The last thing I wanted to leave you with is a tip on our subscriptions page. So this is a really helpful page for managing your subscription with Pozotron. I wanted to take a little bit of time to explain how this works because we're a bit unique in the way that we bill. So to go to your subscriptions page, when you're logged in, the top right will have this little bubble. Go ahead and click that and go to My Dashboard. And in here, there's account settings and other useful things. But the main thing I wanted to show you today is the subscription page. Now, this account doesn't have an active subscription because this is just my demonstration account. But it looks like we have a question from Dana. Do you know when the function will be released that would allow me to see how much time a proofer spent proofing each chapter? That is a good question, and that's for kind of enterprise accounts if you have multiple proofers. I'll have to check with our development team to get you an accurate timeline on that, Dana, or check with Adam. But I'll have him follow up with you, or I'll follow up with you right after this once I hear back from them. Yeah, that's a great question. What was I doing? Okay, let me actually pull up my presentation again because this gives you a better example. You can see here, so if you're on the professional 4 plan or if you're on any subscription of ours, you'll be able to see your details in the subscriptions page. That'll include when your billing period ends or when your invoice period ends, the amount of audio that you have available on your plan, and the actual amount of audio you've uploaded. And this is the most useful part here, the build usage. It says 0 minutes here, but if you upload a 10-minute audio file, it'll say you've uploaded 10 minutes. Or if you've uploaded 9 hours, it'll show you 9 hours right here. And the reason why that's important is I could come here and if I was on a subscription, it would say, hey, Johnny, you've uploaded 9 hours of audio and you're on the professional 4 plan or you're on the pay as you go plan. What I could do, let's say it said 9 hours. I'm just going to use this slide bar and I'm going to bring this to 9 hours. And Positron will tell you what the best plan is for you for that amount of audio. And since we don't bill you until the end of your billing period, so if you signed up today on the 30th, you wouldn't be charged anything today, but next month on the 30th, you would be billed for however many hours of audio that you uploaded to Positron. What that allows you to do is actually change your subscription in the middle of your month. So let's say I signed up for the Pro 4 plan. I'm going to all plans here. Let's say I signed up for this plan. It's a good deal, $40 for 4 hours, so I'm spending $10 an hour. But if I go over 4, I'm spending $12 an hour for any additional hours. So if I'm on Pro 4 and I upload 9 hours, you'll see that's $100, or I could spend $92 if I actually just change my plan to the Pro 8 plan. Or again, the other way, let's say I am on the professional 12 plan, spending $120 a month, but I realize I'm not going to be uploading any audio this month. What I can do is just move all the way down to pay as you go, which would charge me $0. And you can do that at any point. So the main point of this is really just to keep an eye on this page. What a lot of people do is they have a reminder because your invoice will close on the same day every single month. So they have a reminder set the day before that to see how much audio they've uploaded, and then they can just pick the best plan based off of that usage. And that will help you make sure you're on the right plan all the time. If you set it and forget it, you might underpay or you might overpay by uploading more audio than your plan gives you. If you upload 12 hours on the Pro 4 plan, it's definitely going to be cheaper to be on the Pro 12 plan. Anyway, if you ever have questions about this, it is a bit unique. Feel free to email us. Just go to help and request support and say, hey, Johnny, I don't know what plan to be on. Can you help me out? And we'll absolutely help you get to the right one. But if there's any questions on that, let me know. Last thing, the only thing, if you're new to Positron and you create a project and it looks all crazy, like when you open up proofing and there's a bunch of red marks everywhere and it doesn't make a lot of sense. That's usually a PDF issue. We do have an automatic PDF fixer, so let us know if you run into that and we'll make sure your project gets straightened out. Already showed you the help button, but make sure you use it. We're very responsive and we love to help resolve any issues you run into. If you have any feature requests or if you'd like to book a one-on-one demo or meeting, you can always do so with this book a demo button here. And if you want us to take a look at a project you're working on, or if you have any particular questions, we're happy to meet face to face. So don't be shy. And we're a minute past. So thank you everyone who's still around for staying to the end. I hope today that you learned some basic understanding and also hopefully some tips and tricks on how to use Pozotron in your workflow. But we'll send the recording out as soon as it's ready. And if there's anything else we can do, let me know. I'll hang around if you have any questions. Hopper, thank you. That's awesome. I'm really glad to hear that. Yeah, that's great. Thanks for coming. And if you ever have any other questions or feature requests, a lot of our good ideas have come from narrators saying, hey, can Positron do this? And then we'll work on it. Dana, you're very welcome. Thanks for coming. All right, it doesn't look like there's any questions, so I will let you all go. But thank you for attending. Bye-bye. Take care.